What is going on, guys? This is Jake at That Fit Friend, and today I'm reviewing the NOBULL Trainer Plus. As always, I have a full written article down in the description and there are timestamps down below, so jump around this video accordingly, get the info you need, get out of here and go train. But that being said, 3 pros that I have with this model is number 1, I love the reworked outsole tread here. So we have a herringbone lug patterning throughout the entirety of this outsole, and we have an extended outsole layer that wraps over the entirety of the toe box. I love this for 2 reasons. Number 1, I think this outsole provides a lot of tread and grip on different surfaces. So if you're training outdoors or indoors, I don't think you're gonna have an issue with grip at all in the shoe. And overall, the outsole feels very durable, and that's the second reason why I like them, because with this extended outsole layer that wraps up, and with how it feels a little bit thicker in nature, I don't think they're gonna break down or scuff or really wear out anytime soon. The second pro with the shoe is that I like that NOBULL made them a little bit wider, and they brought up the volume of the upper and the forefoot and midfoot here. So the reasoning I like this is because it makes this shoe, I think, a better fit for a wider range of foot anatomies and athletes and lifters. With their increased width and with their overall volume, if you have custom orthotics or inserts, you should be fine using them in this model. In the traditional NOBULL Trainer, you could be a little bit limited at times, and with the increase in width in the shoe, you're gonna have a shoe that fits a lot of different foot anatomies really well. The third pro with this model is that I think it is a pretty good shoe across the board for general lifting and CrossFit. Now, I will admit, when I first put these on, I actually wasn't the biggest fan of them, but since training in them more and more, they have started to grow on me. And while I don't necessarily like this thicker midsole for everything, I do understand it, and I do get the pros of it. So if you're somebody who wants a NOBULL Trainer, or a training shoe for that matter, that you can also wear out and about on a daily basis and be pretty durable, but then also to the gym for versatile sessions, for lifting, for CrossFit, this model is a pretty good model to look into, especially if the NOBULL Trainer, like the traditional model, didn't work well for your needs, wants, and preferences. I think the NOBULL Trainer Plus offers a different enough feel to make them worth trying, especially if the regular NOBULL Trainer didn't fit your needs well. Now, let's talk about a couple of cons I have with the NOBULL Trainer Plus. So 2 potential cons I could see folks having with the NOBULL Trainer Plus is number 1, they do run a little bit hot. So similar to other NOBULL shoes, especially those with the thicker super fabric uppers, these guys can be pretty hot at times. I trained about an hour and a half ago in them, and they are still a little bit sweaty. So if that is something that bothers you with your training shoes, that would definitely be something to consider with this model, is that they can run a little bit hot, especially if you are prone to having your feet run hotter during your training sessions. The second con to this model is that while I see the point of the thicker EVA foam for increased comfort, I think it can be a little bit off-putting for lateral work and for movements like deadlifts where you want to get closer to the ground. So if you like having a more minimalist midsole and outsole on your shoes, that could be problematic, especially with this thicker EVA foam. While I think it will work for most folks, that is something that I would say could be a drawback for those who have very specific training shoe wants and needs. And if you liked how thick that original midsole was in the regular NOBULL Trainer, then I think you're going to find that this midsole is a little bit thick and clunky for your liking. So to break down the performance of the NOBULL Trainer Plus, I'm going to break this section to a few different parts. We'll talk about lifting, versatile training, shorter runs, and then daily wear. Now, in the context of lifting, I think this model will work for most folks who are using it for like recreational strength training and recreational lifting. When working up to 455 pounds in deadlifts, I didn't have an issue with stability in this model, and when doing heavier cleans, like this model was fine, even though the EVA foam midsole is slightly thicker in this shoe. So overall, the stability is pretty good in the shoe, and I also like how the outsole interacts with the ground in regard to how it grips the floor. Now, what I will say is that this thicker EVA foam midsole is actually not my favorite type of midsole for doing things like deadlifts where I want less stack height, and also the toe spring in this model isn't the best. We do have a toe that comes up a little bit, so it can feel a little bit tough to ground the shoes at times, but overall, I think for most folks using these for recreational strength work and just general lifting, their stability should be plenty fine for your needs. When it comes to versatile training, I do like this model slightly more than the traditional NOBULL Trainer. And the reasoning being is that with this reworked midsole construction, once you break them in, they do feel pretty dang comfortable, and they don't necessarily beat up your feet as much as the regular high density foam does in the NOBULL Trainer. And again, I like this outsole tread patterning for giving you more grip on different surfaces. So if you're doing box jumps, plyometrics, or if you're just training outside of the track, you should have good grip in the shoe. And I think it's going to be a better bet for versatility across the board, because with this thicker midsole, once you break the shoe in, it is a little bit more comfortable and it doesn't beat your feet up nearly as much, despite even being a little bit heavier than the regular NOBULL Trainer. For shorter runs, the shoe is okay. I think it's a little bit more comfortable than the regular NOBULL Trainer. Like, can you use this for shorter runs? yes, like I would say keep your runs to about a mile or less, or if they're programmed in wads, you should be fine rocking this shoe. It gives you a little bit more comfort, and with that reworked outsole, you get a nice level of durability. So if you're running outdoors and then coming indoors in training, this outsole should do a really good job at matching the demands of the runs that you're putting on them. And then for daily wear, I think that's one area where this shoe excels with that reworked EVA foam midsole, and with how durable this upper is and the outsole. This is a great model, I think, for rocking on a daily basis and weathering the elements, because they're easy to clean, they're super comfortable, and they have a little bit of a wider fit with a greater volume, so they feel a little bit better for longer durations. So for daily wear, I do think it has an edge over the regular NOBULL Trainer. So now let's answer the question, who are these best for? You know, initially I wasn't the biggest fan of the NOBULL Trainer Plus, but they have since grown on me with multiple training sessions. And so who I think these are best for is that if you love the NOBULL brand, and if you like the traditional NOBULL Trainer, and you want a NOBULL Trainer that can be a little bit more comfortable for daily wear and versatile training, then I think this is a good model to look into. They add a nice level of variety if you like the NOBULL Trainer to be a bit more comfortable for longer sessions or just all day wear. So if that is something you're interested in, I think you'll like this model. Plus they seem very durable across the board. So if you want to wear them on a daily wear basis outside, then I think this is a good model to look into. Once again though, if you want something that's a bit more minimalist and a bit more maneuverable, then this model may be not worth looking into because of that thicker EVA foam midsole. But as a whole, there are contexts where I think the NOBULL Trainer Plus fits really well into certain athletes' needs. So when it comes to sizing and fit in the NOBULL Trainer Plus, you should be safe going true to size. The length of this model fits pretty true, and with that increased width and volume in the upper, I think most athletes and lifters will be safe going true to size in this model. So when it comes to price in the NOBULL Trainer Plus, you can expect to pay $139 USD. Now that price point I think is a little bit hit or miss. I think if you like the brand NOBULL, and if you like the regular NOBULL Trainer, and you want a trainer that can be a little bit more comfortable for more versatile training or just daily wear, then that price point could definitely be justified. I think the shoe should be plenty durable, so it should go the distance in regard to your investment. However, if you are somebody who wants a shoe with a slightly more minimalist midsole and outsole, you may want to look into other models. So again, the price point has gone up $10 USD compared to the normal NOBULL Trainer, but I think if the shoe fits the context of your training shoe wants, needs, and preferences, then that price point can be justified. When it comes to weight, heel to toe drop, and the insole in the NOBULL Trainer Plus, check this out, this is pretty interesting. And do note that there could be some scale error here, but for my right model, we have a weight of 13.15 ounces, and then in my left shoe, we have a weight of 12.75. I thought that was really interesting, and like obviously there could be some error and some deviation of error with the scale and these shoes, but I thought that was really interesting about this model. In regard to the insole in the shoe, it does have a thin removable insole, and the heel to toe drop in this model is 4 millimeters. So now let's go over the construction of the NOBULL Trainer Plus. Up here on the toe box, we have an extended outsole layer that wraps up. That is this full rubber outsole. It's a herringbone lug patterning throughout. And then on the upper, we have the same super fabric upper that most NOBULL trainers have. We have some lateral NOBULL branding back here on the heel. We have some NOBULL branding here on the tongue. And then we have a thick EVA foam midsole throughout. So as you can see, the midsole in this model is pretty thick compared to other NOBULL trainers. We have an internal lacing system. So as opposed to having the regular traditional lacing system with the eyelets out here, we do have a more internal lacing system here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 eyelets that run up. We have a perforated tongue, and then as a whole, that's pretty much the gist of the shoe's construction. One thing with NOBULL trainers is that they're pretty consistent and relatively no frills in nature in regard to their construction. Once again, we do have that removable insole, just to pull that out one more time. But if you have any questions on this model's construction, hit me in the comments below and I will answer whatever you have. So before we wrap this video up, I did want to compare the NOBULL Trainer to the NOBULL Trainer Plus really fast and just call out some of the bigger differences. So the first big difference is in the NOBULL Trainer Plus, we have a much thicker midsole compared to the NOBULL Trainer. So as you can see, we do have a pretty thick midsole over here in the Trainer Plus, and then we also have a reworked outsole tread patterning. So in the NOBULL Trainer, we have more of a traditional lug patterning, and then in the NOBULL Trainer Plus, we have a herringbone lug patterning. And so just to give you another look at the midsole of these shoes, that is a pretty sizable difference between the midsoles in these models. They both feature the super fabric uppers that we're used to in NOBULL shoes, so there's not really a huge update or change to the uppers in these models. In the NOBULL Trainer, we have a traditional lacing system, and then once again over here on the Trainer Plus, we have an internal lacing system. And then overall, those are the main construction differences between these models when it comes to like an appearance point of view. Now, the NOBULL Trainer Plus does have a slightly wider width, and as a whole, it does have a slightly thicker volume to it. So as you can see, like it does have a bigger upper. And so I do think it might be a better pick for those who do have custom orthotics or inserts in their shoes and they want a NOBULL Trainer that can accommodate their needs. But overall, those are the biggest construction differences between these models to note. All right, guys, that wraps up this review of the NOBULL Trainer Plus. If you have any additional questions on this model, hit me in the comments below or reach out to me personally, whichever you prefer. And as always, guys, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next one.